In fashion, as a snow-white rose, lay then before my view the saintly multitude, which in his own blood Christ espoused. Meanwhile that other host, that soar aloft to gaze and celebrate his glory, whom they love, hovered around, and, like a troop of bees, amid the vernal sweets alighting now, clustering, where their fragrant labor glows, flew downward to the mighty flower, or rose from the redundant petals, streaming back unto the steadfast dwelling of their joy. Faces had they of flame, and wings of gold, the rest was whiter than the driven snow. And as they flitted down into the flower, from range to range, fanning their plumy loins, whispered the peace and ardor, which they won from that soft winnowing. Shadow none, the vast interposition of such numerous flight cast, from above, upon the flower, or view obstructed aught. For, through the universe, wherever merited, celestial light glides freely, and no obstacle prevents. All there, who reign in safety and in bliss, ages long past renew, on one soul mark their love and vision fixed. O trinal beam of individual star, that charms them thus, vouchsafe one glance to gild our storm below. If the grim brood, from Arctic shores that roamed, where Hellas, forever, as she wheels, sparkles a mother's fondness on her son, stood in mute wonder mid the works of Rome, when to their view the Lateran arose in greatness more than earthly, I, who then from human to divine had passed, from time unto eternity, and out of Florence to justice and to truth, how might I choose but marvel too? 'Twixt gladness and amaze, in sooth no will had I to utter aught, or hear. And, as a pilgrim, when he rests within the temple of his vow, looks round in breathless awe, and hopes some time to tell of all its goodly state, e'en so mine eyes coursed up and down along the living light, now low, and now aloft, and now around, visiting every step. Looks I beheld, where charity and soft persuasion sat, smiles from within and radiance from above, and in each gesture grace and honor high. So roved my ken, and its general form all paradise surveyed, when round I turned with purpose of my lady to inquire once more of things that held my thought suspense, but answer found from other than I weened. For, Beatrice, when I thought to see, I saw instead a senior, at my side, robed, as the rest, in glory. Joy benign glowed in his eye, and o'er his cheek diffused, with gestures such as spake a father's love. And, whither is she vanished? Straight I asked. By Beatrice summoned, he replied, I come to aid thy wish. Looking aloft to the third circle from the highest, there behold her on the throne, wherein her merit hath placked her. Answering not, mine eyes I riced, and saw her, where aloof she sat, her brow a wreath reflecting of eternal beams. Not from the center of the sea so far unto the region of the highest thunder, as was my ken from hers, and yet the form came through that medium down, unmixed and pure. O Lady! Thou in whom my hopes have rest, who, for my safety, hast not scorned, in hell to leave the traces of thy footsteps marked. For all mine eyes have seen, to thy power and goodness, virtue and grace. Of slave, thou hast to freedom brought me, and no means, for my deliverance apt, hast left untried. Thy liberal bounty still toward me keep. That, when my spirit, which thou madest whole, is loosened from this body, it may find favor with thee. So I my suit preferred, and she, so distant, as appeared, looked down, and smilled, then toward th eternal fountain turned. And thus the senior, holy and revered, that thou at length mayst happily conclude thy voyage, to which end I was dispatched, by supplication moved in holy love, let thy upsoaring vision range, at large, this garden through, for so, by ray divine kindled, thy ken a higher flight shall mount, and from heaven as queen, whom fervent I adore, all gracious aid befriend us, for that I am her own faithful Bernard. Like a wight, who haply from Croatia wends to see our Veronica, and the while tea is shown, hangs over it with never sated gaze, and, all that he hath heard revolving, saith unto himself in thought, and didst thou look e'en thus, O Jesus, my true Lord and God? And was this semblance thine? So gazed I then adoring, for the charity of him, who musing, in the world that peace enjoyed, stood lively before me. Child of grace! Thus he began, Thou shalt not knowledge gain of this glad being, if thine eyes are held still in this depth below. But search around the circles, to the furthest, till thou spy seated in state, the queen, that of this realm is sovereign. Straight mine eyes I rised, and bright, as, at the birth of morn, the eastern clime above th horizon, where the sun declines, to mine eyes, that upward, as from vale to mountain sped, at th extreme bound, apart excelled in lustre all the front opposed. And as the glow burns ruddiest o'er the wave, that waits the sloping beam, which Phaeton ill knew to guide, and on each part the light diminished fades, intensest in the midst, so burned the peaceful oriflame, and slacked on every side the living flame decayed. And in that midst their sportive pennons waved thousands of angels, in resplendence each distinct, and quaint adornment. At their glee and carol, smiled the lovely one of heaven, that joy was in the eyes of all the blessed. Had I a tongue in eloquence as rich, as is the coloring in fancy's loom, were all too poor to utter the least part of that enchantment. When he saw mine eyes intent on her, that charmed him, Bernard gazed with so exceeding fondness, as infest ardor into my breast, unfelt before.